The world is a global village.
And that's because information travels beyond boundaries.
And on This Morning on ITV,
we guarantee unbiased analysis on topical issues
that will educate you,
entertain you.
So join us.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us.
Every Sunday to Thursday, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. on your ultimate news and current affairs program on television. This Morning on ITV, TMI. Join us. Thanks again for staying with us. On the last lap of the show, two quick things we're going to be doing. I told you that the discussion today on TMI is on health and environment. And interestingly, the topics that we took, they are interconnected. First, we started with the Lassa fever outbreak, which of course we know is spread by some special type of rats. Rats don't stay, majority of them don't stay at home. But these types of rats, they live in the bush. But when you engage the forest by burning them, the rats find themselves in our homes and then they create nuisance. One of them is the spread of Lassa fever. I have with me in the studio a forest and wildlife specialist, Professor Gideon Emele from the Department of Forestry, University of Benin. Prof, many thanks for joining us on the program.
Good morning, my good people of Edo State.
Okay, I also have with us Kingsley Oselbo. He's an agronomist and also a member of the Civil Society Edo State. Kingsley, many thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Duke. Good morning, viewers.
Prof, one of the things that has been disturbing is the fact that there's been this increased spate of fire incidents, both domestic and even forest fires, as it were. Let's get your perspectives on this, and how do you think we can deal with this issue?
Well, let me start by saying that fire is a chemical reaction that takes place where there is oxygen, also where there's combustible fuel, and as well when there is a kind of a spark. When these three things, that's a triangle of fire. Once these three things are in place, oxygen, you have combustible fuel, then you have a spark, fire takes place, whether it's in the home, whether it's in the bush. And the fact remains that from time immemorial, fire has always been a friend of man. Human beings have to use fire. And so we are not going to write off using fire. The issue has to do with controlling fire. So that is where the issue is. Basically, fire comes from two areas. One comes from the man himself. Those are actions of man. Then you also have the one that is called the act of God. Maybe when there's lightning, the fire comes up and it starts burning. Okay. Now, I think why we keep groaning at this stage is because we are at a month when there is hammer time. That is the time when the combustible fuel becomes much more high. During the rainy season, the moisture level is so high that it's difficult, even when there is an unsafe spark, the fire may not just burn. But now we are at a time when fire can easily begin to take place. So you've asked a question, what are we supposed to do? What we are supposed to do is to do we have to control fire. What I mean by control fire in the forest management, a forest plantation is supposed to be laid in a way so that you have a gaps. It's called fire trace. At a particular time of the year, you make sure that the fire trace is in place, so that in case there is accidental fire, then when it gets to that particular point, the fire will not die down, because the fire goes along with the fuel. The higher the fuel, the more the intensity. So when it gets to that, if you go to Presco, for example, you would have noticed that in their plantation, I'm not aware that they have had fire incidents, a major one, because under the palm plantation, they use praeria. Praeria is an evergreen cover crop. So even if you drop a cigarette butt or whatever, you notice that the fire may not go anywhere. Yeah. So
it will start and end there.
It will just start and end there, because it will not be able to move. Okay. Now, if you go to the highway, you go to the express road, you will notice a lot of burning taking place. The more you go to the savannah area, the more, of course, fire is part and parcel of savannah area. But unfortunately, the forest area, which is the southern part of Nigeria, The fire is now becoming intense. The grazers are using the fire to burn the old grass in order to have a new flush of grass which their cattle take.
Okay. So
This
is also part of the farmers' herders crisis that we're talking about.
Of course, when they get there, because during the dry season, during the drier time, you will notice that the grass is going brown. As it's going brown, the protein level is going down.
Okay.
And so what they do is to set fire so that the fire will clean those dry grass and then the new flush will come up. So in about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they come back. You look at the express road. It's a grazing ground.
Yes.
They will just come back and, you know.
Feed on those fresh grasses.
Yes.
All right, let me pause it there. Let me come to Kingsley. This is an environmental menace, whether it is at home or in the forest. What are your thoughts, particularly as it relates to our own roles that we're supposed to play as individuals to curtail it?
Like Prof said, you know, fire is friend to man. We need fire every day to cook our food. I mean, that's basic, whether it's electric or whatever, but still heat. And like we know, we live in an area, you know, the world where we have 2 major seasons: the wet season, of course, the rainy season, and the harmattan season that we're in now, or the dry season. Now, if you look at this, our role, even here at home, you should know where to put your cooking stove or whatever, how you should use it, the correct way to use it. Yesterday, I read a very sad incident. It happened in Kaduna of a man who lost his whole family, wife and 3 children, because there was a leaking gas cylinder. And recently, I heard I think a government agency, was it SON or so, or NSCD, you know, arresting some few persons who were trying to refurbish expired gas cylinders.
Yeah.
Now, when you say our role, there are a lot of things that we do. Like you mentioned about, you know, a company that could plant particular grass that's like fire breakers. Now, but we should not also forget that there are cases of arson, where there's a deliberate attempt to burn down things, either to cover a fraud or to attack some persons, or to smear a campaign we are hearing or we are suspecting is happening even in those states because of the political build-up. Now, when there's a deliberate attempt, then of course that's a criminal offense. But coming to look at what we do, there are a lot of things we do wrongly. Now, the cultural practice of getting meat, which is the Lassa fever thing you just talked about, people set fire in bushes. Look at even the government rule, when the waste management don't come to evacuate their waste as and when due. You know, you find people want to now, because this waste accumulated in front of your house, not just creating an eyesore, it also harbors rats, like pests, and you find the snakes predating on these rats. And so you want to set the fire and let's reduce it. Now, but if these persons who are supposed to be responsible for evacuating this waste were doing their job, you wouldn't have that problem. That would have reduced that.
Absolutely.
Number 2, if those people who should stop, because you go to the market, you want to buy a gas cylinder, you don't know. How do you know which one is the original or not? Now, we used to have a body called NOA.
Yes.
We used to have even the state ministry.
Yes.
It's also supposed to be in the local government. I wonder what this local government, what they really do. We have there should be a unit, of course, there's a unit of information that should go around once in a while, you know, and educate people on practices that will help them check issue of fire. But we find that when we're talking about federal ministry or maybe the state ministry, the local government is closer. You should go, even in our villages, you have town criers.
So this is a collaborative thing.
By everybody.
Okay, gentlemen, we just scratched the surface on this. I'm very passionate with environmental issues, and today will just not be enough time for us to exhaustively talk about some of the things that we planned for today. But just to let you know that, as I say, we're scratching the surface, and then we'll bring you up to speed with a subsequent edition of TMI, where we can look at this issue exhaustively so that you can take action appropriately to prevent fire disasters. Let me say big thanks to Kingsley Osebo and Professor Gideon Emilwe. Prof actually initiated this conversation. Prof, thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's the TMI. We'll take a short break. We'll be back with one of our sponsors for the ITV Radio Corpus Classic 2020. Join us again.